It's time for The Story Behind the Person, featuring lively, in-depth conversation with compelling guests from our community. And here is our host, Jonathan Van Bilsen.
Hello and welcome. My guest today is Scott Murray, the driving force behind the Canadian Dragon Boat team. Scott is going to share his amazing adventures and enviable life with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Not all Canadians have the time or desire to manage their finances. That's where we come in, helping Canadian families plan for a secure, happy, and successful future. Visit our website at www.teamfg.ca.
At Voss, your independent grocer, it's all about hometown living and shopping. Owned and operated by Terry and Christine Voss, their newly renovated Port Perry store carries many local items to support our town and its residents.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, my guest today is Scott Murray. And Scott is everything that I want to be. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jonathan.
So, Scott, you have been involved in dragon boat racing for the better part of your life, right? It's 30 some odd years.
Absolutely.
And I know a little bit about it in that I've seen them sort of go across the lake, and it looks like a lot of work, and I'm sure it is. But there's a whole lot more to it that I had no idea. So how did you get into dragon boat racing?
Well, for me, my journey started in a hockey rink.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine said, "Hey, why don't we go kayak this summer?" And I don't know, I never heard of that. And he said, "Just follow me. We'll do it."
Right.
And then joined a kayaking club. And then there was this new activity called dragon boat, and I loved it. Like teamwork. Right, 20 people coming together. It's co-ed, men and women on the same team.
Right.
Battling, fighting and like tons of energy, fire, inspiration, and so that was definitely the sport for me.
Right. So was it already established when you got into it, or?
Dragon boats came to Canada, really picked up in the 90s.
Okay.
Dragon boats came to Canada through Chinese business associations.
Okay.
In the late 80s and early 90s.
So it started in China then?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on the Yangtze River or whatever they
have
there?
Yeah. Thousands of years ago, there's a whole legend of how dragon boat came to be.
Really?
Yeah, there's a whole legend. But 2,000 years ago in China, and then in the 70s, 80s, really started to formalize as a sport, and then came to Canada in the 90s.
So in Canada, it's very popular now, right? I imagine there are a number of teams.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of teams, yeah.
All across the country, about
Right.
70,000 people participate. And, the formal racing part has really got competitive over the last.
I assume it's restricted to some areas. Like it'd be hard to do this in Saskatchewan, right? There's not a whole lot of water.
There is
Really?
clubs in Saskatchewan. We hosted a Canadian Championships
Really?
in Regina
In the
once upon a
Saskatoon
time.
River there?
The Wascana River.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So when you do this, do you sort of set up teams? Do they automatically form? Are they already formed?
Yeah. So if someone wants to get involved, there's a club in every community.
Right.
So you just look up your local club, and there'll be a once a week team. There'll be a twice a week team. There'll be a junior team. It's a very adult sport.
Right.
So we get a lot of adults, and it's mixed gender. So it's pretty easy to get involved. You don't need previous experience, right? If you can sit, you can paddle.
And you are not limited age-wise, basically, right? You can, even people as old as my area, for example.
All ages. You'd be a great paddler, John. You look like you're in great shape, and we could use you. Right?
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And how young can you go?
So our youngest paddlers are in and around the age of 12.
Oh, really?
12 and 13. It's a very popular sport in high school. That's a great entry for people. And then by the time they get to university in their 20s, we see an explosion actually at that age group. We see tons.
You get hooked on it, do you?
Yeah, it's a great time for people to bond and.
But you wouldn't mix the 12-year-old with the 60-year-old.
No,
right?
so age groups under 18, under 24, what we call premier, which is an open age group, and then in the senior age groups, there's Senior A, which is 40 plus, Senior B, which is 50 plus, Senior C, which is 60 plus.
So let me take it back to you a bit. So you do a lot of like this is your full-time business, right? You don't have another job and you do this sort of on the side. This is what you do.
Yeah, I like to say that I play for life.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
That's what I do. I play for life. So this sport there was kind of the wave of dragon boat coming, and I kind of got on that wave, and it has taken me.
So you're the president of the
so this nice jacket is Dragon Boat Canada.
Okay.
That's our organizational, our national organization. So I'm the president of Dragon Boat Canada. Locally, I'm the head coach of the Pickering Dragon Boat Club. And then I also have a company called Alchemy Dragon Boat Services. Alchemy being we turn base materials into gold.
Okay.
And so Alchemy will run dragon boat events all over Ontario.
Okay. So I was going to say, I mean, if it's your full-time career, somehow you have to make some money on this. Now, you don't get paid a whole lot for doing the actual racing, right? Like the people who do the dragon boat paddling don't make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah,
right?
it's like any club that you would have in any other sport, a volleyball club, a hockey club, clubs like that. People will join their clubs, and the club needs good coaches, needs good resources.
So people pay a dues to join?
Yeah, you pay your membership fee just like any other sporting organization, and you'll have either a summer season or an annual season, depending on your club.
So let's look at say North Durham, for example. We've got Lake Scugog. I know we've had paddle boat racing here for a long, long time.
Yeah.
The current club, I believe, is called the Scugog Paddle Boat.
Scugog Dragon Boat Club.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep calling it paddle.
Yeah, Scugog Dragon Boat Club. Great new initiative. A good friend of mine named Katie has launched and led that. Great people.
Right.
And there's been a festival that's been happening here for the last 15 to 20 years.
Right.
I help bring that festival to Port Perry every year. And that really has led into a club being born. So and it's wonderful when it's 80 degrees out or 27, 28 degrees out and you're zipping along the lake, and then I'm thinking in February it's got to be really hard to get those dragon boats out on the water. So what do you do in the winter? Yeah, so we have a whole regimen of winter training. Okay. There's a few things. I mean, just physical fitness, just getting together as a community group and staying fit and inspiring one another. But beyond that, there are some customized training. Mm-hmm. If you've ever seen a rowing machine. Yep. We have a dragon boat version of that. We call it a paddle erg, paddle erg training. So you're on an indoor machine. And is there a place where people can go to do this, or do they have to buy the machine themselves? So we have a site in Pickering, which is called Paddle Zone, very creatively named. Yeah. And that's where you come to paddle in the winter. And further in Scarborough, there's a pool. There's an actual custom paddle pool. Oh, okay. And there's also, I'm trying to think, there's one in Trenton as well, in Peterborough. So if I'm part of the dragon boats in let's say, in Uxbridge or Port Perry or whatever, then in the winter I have the choice of buying my own rowing gizmo, or I can come down to your facility and use it. Exactly. And how much training would you have to do in the winter hours? And really, there's all kinds of layers of teams, John. If your team is a community team, and just, a lot of teams will be just summer only. And they'll meet once a week. Less, right? And we'll go to the Port Perry Festival, and maybe we'll go to one other festival. Right. And, our Monday nights will start at the Dragon Boat, and maybe we'll end at a local pub. Right. So there's a good mix of a little bit of everything involved. Yeah, it's a very social sport, but it's also very physically demanding. I'm sure it is, especially upper body. Right? Yeah. But you would have different levels of skill too, right? You wouldn't have like somebody who's been doing it for 30 years and with a group of people wouldn't come up and compete with a group of people that do it once a week. Yeah, there's that community part of our sport, which we've talked about. And then there's also a very highly competitive part of our sport that we've talked about. And in that competitive side, there's going to be a Canadian Championships every year in a different province. There's going to be a World Championships every year. Okay. I noticed that I've got here that you've been to 18 different countries or locations around the world, going from South Africa to China to Thailand, Brandenburg in Germany. I want your job. You know what? Never would have predicted that. Yeah, Never would have saw that coming. Probably in my formative years thought I was going to be a hockey player. Dragon boat that has provided me these experiences I would have never expected.
So okay, so we got a club in Port Perry, and they do it kind of for fun, and then we would have an Ontario sort of a championship.
There's no provincial championships, so your club goes to Canadian championships.
Okay.
And it's like any sport. Some clubs are like the big regions, Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. They tend to have more athletes, so they tend to have some of the highest competitive teams.
Okay, so they sort of weed themselves out through their own little competition.
Yeah.
So back to the Port Perry thing, if you have 10 dragon boats that come race here on the festival, one of them is going to win.
Yep.
So that one could possibly be a contender to compete with say, a Scarborough team or something, or a Pickering team.
For
and
sure.
Eventually you end up at
For sure, and it's like
level.
anything. The more you put in, the more you get out. So if you want to be a Canadian champion, you're going to end up training all year round. You're going to be recruiting your friends all the time. You're going to be going to Pickering to paddle zone in the winter. You're going to be going 3 or 4 times a week, not 1 time a week in the summer.
Right.
So it depends what you want, what your goals are. If your goals are to just get together once a week with your friends, that avenue's there. If your goal is to go to China and Hong Kong and Germany, then you're going to make a big investment, but it's going to be worth it.
So in your case, for example, so you obviously compete nationally.
Yeah.
And you also run the club, so you're putting a lot of time into this program.
Yeah. It's a full-time endeavor, but it's also a passion project, right?
It would have to be.
I love the people that I get to coach. I love the people that get to be my teammates. They inspire me to be at my best. And anything that's a collective endeavor, right? There's a real galvanizing experience when you and 20 of your best friends are pulling together for something.
And you just, you had the Canadian Championship in Montreal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then so that would be on a river, right?
So the Olympic Basin.
Oh.
I remember the first time I went there, it's such a good, cool experience for me to just know that I'm in the place where Olympians raced in the 70s. But it's still, those venues, they matter, right? You walk in and you get goosebumps.
So, and you've also done a Canadian or a international championship in the Cook Islands, right? Recently, a couple of years ago.
So Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Trinidad and Tobago was our recent Pan Am Club Crew Championships.
Okay. So how does it work? If I'm on your team, do I pay my own way down there pretty well?
Unfortunately, this is a sport that is a pay-to-play sport.
Right.
And, the entry level to this sport is quite easy, quite accessible. It doesn't cost a lot of money to go out once a week. All you need to buy,
you don't have to pay for the canoe or for the
dragon
boat, right?
Just your club membership fees. Go buy a paddle, which is not that expensive if you compare to other sports. Not a lot of equipment you need. You need a paddle and you need a butt pad. That's what you need. You need a butt pad.
I imagine though shipping the paddle around in airplanes isn't an easy thing either.
So
right?
one of the things we do is we'll get them in like a golf bag. We'll get about 10 or 15 paddles in a golf bag, and so one out of every team members has to lug the paddle bag around.
And that's the junior guy, right? It's always a new kid, right?
You know.
Scott, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about the actual mechanics of this sport because I'm interested. I noticed we've got some props here. We're going to take a look at that. So stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Pet Value has a fleet of services to help you and your pet live their very best lives. Visit Pet Value in Port Perry to discover a world of expertise, friendly staff, and everything you need for your pets. Pet Value, your pet, your store.
Top care with top stylists. Book your next hair appointment with Port Perry's award-winning hair salon, Rosario Greco Styles. The hair experience you deserve. Book today. Call 905-985-0099.
At PP Print and Digital Services, we're excited to announce the expansion of our services to include comprehensive point-of-sale display solutions. Let us help you create a compelling in-store presence and ensure your products reach your customers effectively.
Welcome back. My guest is Scott Murray. He is in charge of the Dragon Boat Racing for Canada. And we've had an interesting conversation about the concept of the boating and that. I just wanted to quickly ask you, Scott, there are different types of boat. Like I've heard of outriggers, I've heard of canoes, I've heard of all sorts of different things. So what is the difference?
Yeah, so dragon boat's the biggest one, obviously.
Okay.
Dragon boat, 22 people, 20 paddlers, steersperson, drummer. Outrigger canoe is a great cross training for dragon boaters. It's also a good big water boat, right? If you want to go on the lake,
it's the one that's got the pontoon.
It's got a pontoon on the outside, and
yeah.
so you've famously seen these in Hawaii,
right?
And they're becoming much more prominent in Ontario now.
Okay.
It's a great way to go out by yourself and enjoy the same type of paddling that you would do in a dragon boat. And then, of course, a lot of people enter this sport with canoeing experience. Obviously, in Ontario, we have great waterways to paddle, and a lot of people do leisure paddling in canoes. So,
and you're not limited to the ocean. You can paddle on a lake. You can paddle anywhere there's water.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Dragon boat's more of a flat water sprint racing sport.
Okay.
So we love lakes. We love rivers. We love a little bit more protected waters.
When you say flat water as compared to wavy.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
All right. Okay.
Big water, ocean water.
Right.
That's you don't want to capsize.
But some of these places you've been to, like in Italy, I don't know where Ravenna, Italy is, but it's Italy doesn't have a lot of inside water, does it, or does it?
So a lot of these are race courses. Like in Canada, we have one here in Ontario, the Welland Flatwater Centre. When we host the Pan Am Games, you'll get a development, and it'll be there'll be offshoots from rivers or lakes, but then they'll build a little infrastructure around it to make it a high-end race course.
So you go straight. You don't go in circles or anything.
Except for our 2K race. 2K is basically like, think about a car race. Right. And you're doing laps. Okay. And so we'll do 2 laps. So it's exciting when you see these 40-foot boats, arcing around a corner.
I'm looking at your model here.
Yeah.
Maybe can you hold it up?
Sure. Yeah.
So you've got at one end you got the drummer. That's the job I'd want to have.
There you go.
And this is a drum down here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a drum that would sit on the boat, right? And somebody sits behind it, and they keep time for the paddling. Is that right?
So the drum is the heartbeat of the dragon.
Okay.
Right? So when we're paddling, the faster that boat goes, the faster the dragon's heart rate goes. So that drummer is hitting the drum at the heart rate of the dragon. The faster you go, the faster you beat the drum. And that helps everybody.
Right. So everybody stays in tune.
Stay in tune.
So if he's got an itch or something, has to scratch his face, that's going to be a real problem.
There you go.
And the guy at the back is the steerer, the paddler.
Yeah, that's often the job that I do. This is the steersperson. Coxswain is another word that is sometimes used. And in our club, in Pickering and in Canada, this is often the leader or the coach. Doesn't have to be. This could also be the leader or the coach, depending on the circumstances. But barking out instructions mostly.
Oh, okay. And is that paddle that he's holding? It's a rudder, basically. Is it's attached to the boat, or is it?
No, that's free. There's usually a little loop here. Okay. That gives leverage.
Right. You wouldn't have to do a whole lot of turning with it, right?
No,
because if everybody's paddling together, you're going to go straight.
With experience, this is it's fairly easy to steer. Your first time, it's nerve-wracking. Of course. But once you get experience, it's quite easy. It's a 10-foot steering oar.
But if you're doing a circle, then you've got to work hard on that, right?
You got to put some leverage on that. You got to turn over the blade and pull on it. It's fun. It's exciting.
But you don't have the paddlers on one side slowing down. Because
we try to go as fast as we can, as long as we can.
Wow, that's cool. And how many people are on a boat?
So we got 20. We got 10 benches. Okay. So we got 20 paddlers. We got a steersperson and a drummer. So we call that 22 dragons.
And that's every boat has that.
Yep.
You can't have.
Well, we have, as sports evolve, we have another version of this, which is the small boat. Okay. Which has 10 paddlers, 1 drummer, and 1 steer. So we now have.
If you're doing competition, it's going to be the same. On every boat, it's going to have the same number of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. And is it a mixture between men and women?
Mixed gender. So in this boat, we would have 10 males and 10 females, and that's the standard at a competition. However, at a local event,
it could be anyone.
Right? Yeah, we want to get participation up, so we're going to lower those criteria because we want you to, we want you to race.
Who's better, men or women?
Wow, that's a great question. This sport has a lot of women in it, and hats off. Our women really, really drive this sport, and they're technicians. The men, have good power for sure. Getting men to be technicians, it can be a journey, but we'll get there.
Yeah. we'll just let that one go, okay? So when you do the training, do people normally train in groups? Like, will they come out to get as a bunch of people and train as a...
Yeah, we like to get you with your crew, right? Like, you know, you want to paddle with like-minded people,
right.
people in the same caliber as you, the same goals.
Right.
So you'll find your crew. And a lot of people do move up, right? Their first year, they're going to be on a intro team, and then they want more. So they'll go to an intermediate team, and then they want more, and then they'll go to an advanced team. So you'll find your... It's like water, right? You find your level, and then you build off of that.
And Canada's really, really big in this sport, right? So how many big international countries would there be? I mean,
in terms of participation, going to big events, Canada really is the leader.
Really?
We go in greater numbers than any other country. China, you have to, if you're talking Dragon Boat, it's like a national pastime for China, and they really support the events, especially the events in Asia. They love to participate in.
Right.
USA is growing. They're coming. They have better weather than us, but they're not as fast as us just yet, John.
I get that. Yeah.
They're trying, but
in many areas.
And then other Asian countries are also dominant. Thailand has really strong teams. Indonesia has really strong teams.
So the name Dragon Boat, that's obviously a Chinese thing. So I notice you've got you've got a dragon beside you, which is the front part of the boat. Is there a specific name for that? Just the front?
This is the dragon head,
okay.
And it attaches to the boat on race day.
Right.
And the ceremony, whenever you're starting a dragon boat festival, you'll do an eye dotting ceremony, which is awakening the dragon.
Okay.
So we awake the dragons before the event, and then the dragons get loud throughout the event, and then like anything, they go to sleep. So we'll do an eye dotting ceremony where we'll color in that eye, and that's part of the history and the tradition and the culture of our sport, awakening the dragon.
And does somebody make these? Do you buy them? Like
so these kind of come with the boats, but they're very intricate pieces. You can see they have, they're very delicate. So these are the parts of our boat.
That's why it's off the boat. Right?
You got to take them off. You put them on for racing, and we try to protect them. But they're very delicate and intricate parts of our sport. And it's really important that you train in a big canoe. You race in a dragon boat. It's not a dragon boat until you put the head and the tail and the drum on.
Yeah, it's an oversized kayak, more or less.
Yep.
So some of the other sports that are similar to that, there are big kayaks too that hold a number of people, right? Is that
there's things like war canoes, and voyageur canoes, and those are great. Those are all part of our culture in Canada. We're very, very built on paddling. Paddling goes way back to the roots of the beginning of Canadian culture, but I think Dragon Boat is something that really represents our country really well. People love coming together. They love supporting one another and being a team.
Yeah. So how many people roughly would participate in this sport in Canada? Are we talking like 100? Are we talking 500?
So we got across the country people who will Dragon Boat in a year, about 70,000.
Really?
Right. You got big events in, again, the big centers, Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal.
Right.
You'll have big events with 100 teams or more.
Right.
And then, places like Scugog, places like Peterborough, places like Milton. Of course, Pickering is a big hub of Dragon Boat. Pickering is really...
Bay in that area?
Yeah, we've really created a hub. And so at local events, you'll have anywhere from 20 to 50 teams at an event. And so even a 20-team event, right, you're into the 200 to 500 people participating.
So a small community like say Port Perry, for example, they would have one boat, one team. Is that?
I think at their club they have one or two dragon boats.
Okay.
And so on any given night you could have 2 sessions. You could have an early session and a later session if you only have one dragon boat. So 40 people a night can be involved.
Okay. And so what are these boats worth? How expensive is
a dragon boat? To buy a brand new dragon boat's about $15,000.
Really? Wow.
the good thing is they last for a number of years.
Yeah.
But you do want to keep them. There's a lot of maintenance involved.
Right.
You wouldn't want a dragon boat because
Right.
it doesn't fit in your backyard.
Right. It's not
So
something
you
you put on
gotta
top of the car,
you gotta
so-
store it. You gotta winterize it. You know, it comes with some
That's why you have a
duty
club.
of care.
You have a club with a clubhouse where you house and that.
Exactly.
So when you travel to some of these places, wherever they might be around the world, do you take your boat with you?
That's the big question we always get. How do you get your boat on the plane? And so that's just not how our sport works. The host, whoever's hosting the event, you have to provide the boats, and you have to provide fair and equal boats.
I was going to say, the first thing I'd be thinking of is, well, yours is going to have a hole in it, my friend.
Exactly. So that's why organizations like Dragon Boat Canada exist. That's why the International Dragon Boat Federation exists.
Okay.
That's why a company like mine, like Alchemy, exists.
Right.
Because we can take care of the boats, and we can make sure the boats are fair, and we can transport them around locally. And then when we go to Germany, the German Federation, they'll provide the boats.
So, and they're all to a specific standard.
Exactly.
Right?
There's a spec.
Yeah.
And your boat has to be to spec.
And you bring the Dragon Head with you?
We don't. They come with the boats. Wherever the boats go, the accessories go.
Right.
The head, the tail, the drum.
Right.
They
I want to mention there is a tail as well, which I saw it here somewhere, but we don't want to get. There's not that much room here, but that's amazing. So you go to these places, you get some of these boats. Do you have time to practice before your competition?
Yeah, usually when you travel, let's say we'll arrive on a Friday, and we'll practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
Gets us to acclimatize. We get to know the race course, the climate, and the boats.
Right.
And then by Tuesday, we start our race. And it's usually a 5 or a 6 day competition if we're going to the World Championships.
Right. Scott, our time has come to an end, unfortunately. It's gone very quickly. This is really interesting. I've learned a lot. I may take this up. I'll have to look into it a little bit. I like the part about drumming.
You're invited. You can be a drummer at the Skugog event.
But thank you so much for being here today and joining us and explaining all this stuff.
Thanks, John.
Pleasure meeting you. And thank you all for watching. Please join us every month right here for the story behind the person.
Please remember to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review to get all episodes of The Jonathan Van Bilsen Show. Follow The Jonathan Van Bilsen Show on social media for extra content and information about the story behind the person. The Jonathan Van Bilsen Show episodes are presented by Rogers TV and X4 Media. To contact us, please email info@jonathanvanbilsen.com. We endeavor to make all information contained within this program as accurate as possible at production time. Rogers TV and X4 Media are not responsible for any liabilities resulting from information contained in this program. For more information, please visit jonathanvanbilsen.com.